right, welcome everybody. Today we're talking about Daikin VRV Macros. Actually, what I want to talk about first is look at this beautiful logo, right? So I've realized that with making these videos, helping people doing the things that I do, that I love to do for a lot of you guys and gals out there, I decided to put a logo behind this. And that logo was actually recommended to me by a friend of mine, Craig, with AC Service Tech. And it just kind of stuck. And so there's this Facebook group, as you all know, called VRF Tech Talk. And from that, I decided to take that name and, use it. So here we are. So VRF Tech is going to be the new brand that a lot of my videos will fall under. Some courses that I'm working on right now and classes that I'm working on to make public facing are all going to fall out under this new brand, VRF Tech. I'm actually going to unveil a website here shortly that'll actually have a lot of the great information that you guys are looking for constantly to, find and use. There's a lot of great stuff in the works. So essentially building out a website where you can go message board, resources, software, links, all that stuff like that, videos, topics, things that are hard to find that are sourced on the internet instead of having to go to a Facebook page or go to a website that somebody else owns. I decided to just go ahead and buy my own. And from there, I will then put everything that you guys request and want. So anyways, so big stuff in the works. That's this. But that's not this video. This video is actually about Daikin VRV Macros. You say, well, what is a macro? A macro is basically a set of programs built out in Excel to execute and sort information that is in an Excel file, right? Like a .csv file. So a lot of people were asking on the Facebook group from someone who posted a picture about a problem they had, and they showed a picture of the macro. And well, in the process of showing the macro, people were like, well, what the hell is this? Where can I get it? Well, what does it look like? How do I use it? And so I went ahead and I posted all of the macros that I currently have. And so that's these, right? So there's actually, 6 versions here total that I will drop a link for in the description section of this video. And what is a macro, right? So we talked about what it is. It's designed to take the CSV output from Service Checker and sort the information and lay it over top of a piping diagram. Well, that sounds great. How do I get it? Well, again, go to the description. You can download the different versions. Each newer version is designed to handle a newer version of VRV. And Mirion is not on there, so there is a cutoff for the latest piece of equipment. It's fairly expensive to build out these macros, so they just they stopped doing it. But with that being said, getting the macro is not even half the battle. They teach how to use this macro in service and troubleshooting level 2, which I'm certified to teach. So I'm going to teach you the bare bones basics of what you need to know to use this tool to then look at the operational data that you have. Step 1, get the macro. Find the right version of macro that you're supposed to use. Well, how do I know what version I need? Well, you have to download the different versions and open them up. Step 2, to open the macros, you have to have Microsoft Excel, not the free version. You have to have a version of the paid version to execute all of the formulas that are built into the macro. You can't use Google Sheets. It's not built for Google Sheets. So we double click on this. What's going to happen? Well, it's going to go into Microsoft. I have the 365 version, and then we can open it up. And it's going to look like this. Now, this is the very first macro that was there, right? This is the first version of it. And so for this one here, you can see it lists out all the model numbers that apply to this specific macro. You'll find in here that the one thing that you will not see in this one is there is no REMQ series for the first version that they made. You'll see here we've got PVJUs, we've got REYQs, RXYQs, PTJU, YDs. These are the older VRV3 series pieces of equipment besides the REMQ series. So it tells you right here in the top left what to do, but it's not exactly as easy as everybody thinks it is. Step 1 was get the macro. I've given that to you in the description. Step 2, Excel. You have to have a version that works. Step 3, we're going to enable editing at the top here, and it's also going to say, hey, we're blocking this right now because we don't want you to run it, right? There's a security risk with this file. Thank you, Microsoft. You're so helpful. So we're going to go here. Right click on this. We're going to show more options. We're going to go to properties, right? And then here at the bottom where it says security, let me just highlight it for you guys. Now this is going to happen on any newer versions of Windows trying to use something like this, Right here at the bottom, after going through properties, is the security risk. We're going to unblock this and hit apply. Remember, if you don't follow this step, when you get to here, the security risk won't go away. So we're going to exit out. Now that I've unblocked it and told Microsoft that it's not sent to me from some prince overseas, now the red flag goes away and it will let me use this macro. Okay, that's the caveats with using it on newer computers. They don't teach that in the trainings because, let's be honest, it's a little outdated. There you go. So went through a few steps here. We got the macro. We opened it up. We have the right version of Excel to open this up. You can save it on your desktop, save it in your program file, save it wherever you want to. Step 3, we make sure that the program has been unblocked and enabled. There should be no bars at the top of your program when it's ready to run. Okay, let's get to step 4. Okay, step 4 is we need some information to feed this machine. So I'm going to go to my service checker. I'm going to pick one that is a VRV3 model here. You can see it under the model name designations right here. I clean this out probably on a weekly basis. That's why it probably looks kind of low. We're going to do CSV data output in the right-hand side. Now, I'm under the play section of Service Checker. Okay, so I'm going to say CSV data output. This is where a lot of people get it wrong. When we go to CSV data output, we want to output all the data, and we want header data print on it. We want it to print the headers at the top. It's the only way the macro can find out how to sort this correctly. Now, this is the problem that everybody does. They go to save this, and they save it under the name. They're like, oh, this is blah, blah, blah school. This is blah, blah, blah tire shop. No, don't do that. What you're going to do is you're going to call this data. And you go, well, that is so bland and boring. It has to be called data. Otherwise, the macro will not find it within your computer to sort it correctly. Where am I going to save this? So naming is a big part of it. Where you save it is the second big part of it. So I have to go to this PC. I go to the C drive. Once I'm in the C drive, you have to create a folder called data, right? Capital D, lowercase d, doesn't matter. This folder is where you're going to save your CSV file output so that the macro can grab it. The macro is only looking for one folder and one folder on your computer. It's going to go into that folder and look for data sets called data. And if it doesn't see it, that naming in that folder where you're supposed to put it, it will not work. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to say open. And I've already deleted mine, so this folder's empty. Here's the other caveat. A lot of caveats here. If you've done this already and you've used the macro program on an older set of data, you have to first go and delete this files in this folder before you save new files in this folder. If you do not, it will duplicate them or mix and match them with other units and also the outdoor unit. So when you go to run the macro, it's a mixture of two sets of data melded together, which is not something that you want because it's already confusing enough as is. Don't mix two sets of data together that make absolutely no sense. This is empty. This is called data. It's in the right folder. I'm going to save it. Once it's done, it'll tell me that files have saved and I can exit out of that. Now let's go back to our macro. Now, if you've done everything correctly up until this point, this is the easy part. Step 5, push the button. Once you push start, right, you may jump the gun and skip the other steps where you didn't enable it and the malware stuff and you didn't unblock it, and you won't be able to push the start button. Or if you push the start button, it doesn't do anything. You notice your computer's fan will ramp up. You feel like you're crashing your computer and there's these giant viruses taking over. No, remember, the larger the data set, the longer it takes and the more computing power it takes, especially if your laptop's fairly slow. This is a gaming laptop. If it's fairly slow, this could take up to 5 minutes to process. Remember, it's going through and looking at every data set and sorting them. Then it's going to call whatever the data set was called when you exported it the first time internally to the service checker. And it's going to save it in my documents. I'm going to say save it to my desktop. Now, taking raw CSV files, giving you a seizure there, putting them into the folder, then starting the macro, it sorts them, organizes them, and creates what they call an Excel workbook. The workbook is going to look just like this. And where does it put that? Well, it should have put it on my desktop. This is what I get for running multiple screens. And drag it over here. There you go. This is the byproduct of running the macro. This is a workbook that you can share with anybody. What does that workbook look like? It looks like this. Let me downsize my big old head here for you. this is what it looks like. I'm going to zoom out so you can see the full picture. What it does is it takes all of the outdoor data, all of the indoor data, and it displays it on a piping diagram, right? So much so that in this, I can go left and right. Here we go. And there's buttons. The buttons work. If you've done this correctly, the buttons work. This is going to go through the timestamp. You'll see that there are a few things here that we need to look at. There is the targeted row, right, which is what row in the CSV data it's pulling from. It has a timestamp. Here's the timestamp of the data, right? Here is the modes, right? So it's referencing what the modes are for that data set. And I'll scroll over a little bit to the side here so you can see all of it. It will also pull out in that CSV files that you have if any of the protections are on for any of the outdoor modules, right? On or off. And this is where it gets a little wonky. You can even look at, double clicking, you can look at the service manual. What? Look at that. Double clicking it pulls up a picture of the piping diagram from the service manual of the flow of refrigerant for this module. That is just brilliant, including error codes and designations. Now, this is what it lets me do. By clicking this timestamp, I can flow through the data and watch how the temperatures change, how the compressor speeds change, how the system changes overall. There are things at the bottom where it sorts it as well. It does things like discharge superheat. Watch out. Suction temp, right? Inverter compressor speeds. On the newer versions that you'll see, because this is the oldest version, you'll see suction superheat. You'll see system subcooling. It's almost like Daikin's been watching my videos. It's so strange. But here's all the stuff that we're normally used to looking at. What I like to do is I like to take this row and I like to go in here and I go format cells. I go to alignment and I just give it a nice little tilt here. Who doesn't like a good tilt? Boom. Messes up with the colors, but I can read them better instead of having to turn my head like this. Okay, so that's the outdoor unit. Okay, left side is master module, which says ODU2. This is ODU3. And if there was a third module, it would put the information here. Which there isn't. So it looks like this is just a double module, right? Two modules. Okay, now let's go to the next tab down below. There's more. There is combined data. In the combined data, it's going to give me all the information of the indoor and outdoor. And it looks like it didn't populate them correctly because this is probably newer indoor units. This is the oldest of the graphs that's available. So you can see there are some errors here. Now, here's the reason why you would see something like this that doesn't look good, why it doesn't make any sense to me. And that's because we probably didn't sort these correctly. What do you mean sort them correctly? All I do is push a button. But here's the thing. It's literally pulling the information that you're giving it, right? Here we go. It's pulling the information that you gave it and it's sorting it in a certain way. So if we go back here and I go back to my diagram, what I'm going to show you here now is, well, what if it pulls in a bunch of weird crap, right? Like my compressor speed is 2,000 pulses. Well, that's not correct. So what you're going to have to do there is you're going to have to go through and verify that all of your stuff got put in here correctly. Now, how would I do that? Well, I would go in here and I would say, okay, OU1 should always be targets. OU2 should be the first module. OU3 should also be the second module, right? This is targets from Service Checker, OU1, OU2. Now, they're obviously named different things, but this is how it should be in this order. If you go to this tab and you see that this is an outdoor unit and this is your targets, well, then the files were labeled incorrectly when they were exported. How would I fix that? I would go to my file browser. I would go down to this, go down to my data folder, and I would have to manually go in here and open this up. And in opening this up, I'll see, is this my targets, right? Are these my targets? Are they my timestamps? And if they are, then it is correctly named. If not, then I need to change this to OU1. Again, this is how you get the macro to work. This is how you use the macro. Again, this is the older version, so I should probably populate the newer version. These are probably REMQ units, if I'm not mistaken. So this is the system you're not supposed to use with this macro. But this is how you use it, okay? So you get the macros, all the versions. You never know which one you're going to use. I always use the newest version. Unless it doesn't work well, then I'll go one version back. Okay, then you pull the Service Checker data from Service Checker CSV, save it in the data file on the C drive. Then from there, you're going to go in and you're going to enable everything on this. You're going to unblock the program if your computer has automatically blocked it. You're going to go verify that you named the folders, the CSV files are labeled the correct order, right? OU1 is targets, OU2 is actually the master module, OU3 is the sub module. And then from there, you can hit start. It's going to sort all those. It's going to save the workbook, save it under whatever name you want to, put it wherever you need to. And again, this tool is designed to help you go between both. Go between service checker, right? If I go to display operational data, go between what I see here and say, you know what, something just doesn't look right in the master module at timestamp, let's say 500. And I'm going to go to 500. I'm going to be like, okay, let's see here. Let's watch this, right? So I've got, well, this doesn't look right. Look at that, right? And maybe if the person using the macro who sent this to me looked at the macro, they would have found it. A suction temp of 138, that's impossible. This system is actually one I've used on my other videos showing that the suction thermistor was bad. But you can see that because it's on the suction line in the piping diagram. And so those who are not familiar with the system and the refrigerant flow of these systems, this is how the macros are used. It's a learning tool. Do not use it as a crutch. Do not think that you can't look at service checker data unless you put it into the macro. The macro is designed to help you learn the flow of refrigerant and where the sensors are and their designations, right? To find the clogged filter strainer between, here and here, or maybe it's this one here, or find leak by, past this valve. This is what it's designed for. Don't let this be a crutch like I've seen other technicians use this in that fashion where they have to record the live service checker data, then they do the macro the next day, then they can do the troubleshooting and generate the report. So use it to learn the system, use it to learn the flow, but ultimately, you're going to end up here using this program to troubleshoot live on live systems. So hopefully this video was helpful. I know it's a really long one, but this is a complicated task. You're going to run into problems. If you hit problems, just drop a comment in the video below. Drop a comment in the comment section below, not in the video. And let me know what problems you're having, and I'll make a video just for you and try to simulate the same problems. Remember, if you do try to populate data on these systems, and I'll show you where that's at really quickly, that isn't designed for this macro, is sometimes you will get an error message saying model not supported. And if that is the case, don't panic. Just try to use a different version. And if that still doesn't work, just know that maybe that system was never designed to be put in the macro. And you're thinking, okay, well, can I just look at that and figure that out myself? And I would say, okay, well, where that is it's right here. This is what the macro is looking at, is the model name, to see if it fits within the program of map networks. Remember, the macro is designed to look at this model number and then sort it this way over this specific piping diagram. If that hasn't been mapped in the program, when it goes to pull in that tag and it says, hey, I have nothing for VRV 3R first, then it'll kick you back an error, or it'll populate it all wrong and nothing makes sense. So that is almost a 20-minute video on how to use the macros, what they do, how to utilize them, why they matter, any problems that you could run into along the way. And so I hope you enjoy it. Give this video a like, a thumbs up, share it with some other people who might be struggling or want to take their VRV game to the next level. Use this as it is, which is a training tool. Bring your questions and let me know what kind of problems that you're having, or maybe even questions inside of the data sets using the macro tools so that I can turn around and make a video replying to it to help you guys out. That's it, mic drop. So see you guys on the next one.